A 13-year-old girl stands defiantly in a packed San Diego courtroom, her voice cutting through the tension as she explains why her mother missed another custody hearing. The judge, a decorated Marine veteran, leans forward with barely contained anger when she claims her mother is part of an elite Navy SEAL unit. The courtroom erupts in mocking laughter. There are no female Navy SEALs. He declares coldly, "Stop lying to this court." Just as tears threaten to fall, the massive oak doors explode open with military precision. 6 figures in full tactical gear storm into the courtroom, like shadows from a classified operation. The room falls dead silent. What happens next will redefine everything you thought you knew about courage, family, and the price of serving your country in the shadows. The Superior Court of San Diego buzzed with the tension of unfinished business. Outside, military helicopters from nearby Naval Base Coronado created a constant background hum, a reminder that this was a military town where secrets ran deeper than civilian eyes could see. At the defendant's table, Dr. Marcus Chen nervously adjusted his tie. The UCSD professor of international relations looked like he'd been through hell, his usually pristine appearance showing the strain of months of legal battles. Beside him sat his daughter, Zara Chen, with the unnatural stillness of someone who had learned to hide in plain sight. Unlike other teenagers in crisis, she didn't fidget or look around anxiously. Her black hair was pulled back in a tactical braid, and around her neck hung what looked like an ordinary compass, but bore markings that would be recognizable only to those with classified clearance. Her fingers moved in precise patterns across its surface, a nervous habit that looked random, but followed the exact sequence of a military communication protocol. Judge Colonel Harrison Stone entered with the bearing of a man who had commanded Marines in 3 theaters of war. His reputation preceded him: 25 years of active duty, including tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, before transitioning to the bench, where he was known for his zero tolerance for what he called civilian dramatics. The bailiff's call to order carried the snap of military command. "We're here to resolve the custody matter of Zara Chen," Judge Stone announced, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed without question. "I see the respondent has once again failed to appear, continuing her pattern of abandonment." The plaintiff's attorney, Rebecca Martinez, rose with predatory precision. "Your Honor, Commander Sarah Chen has missed 4 consecutive hearings. Her pattern of disappearances spans the last decade. Mr. Chen has documented her absences during critical moments: when Zara was hospitalized with appendicitis at age 9, her middle school graduation, even emergency situations requiring parental consent. This demonstrates a fundamental failure to prioritize her child's welfare." Marcus Chen's attorney presented evidence methodically: school records showing only one parent's signature for 8 years, medical forms filled out exclusively by the father, a paper trail of missed birthdays, canceled plans, and a mother who seemed to vanish for months at a time with no explanation beyond vague references to classified government work. "Your Honor," the attorney continued, "Dr. Chen has been the sole consistent parent in Zara's life. He has never missed a school conference, a soccer game, or a hospital visit. Meanwhile, Commander Chen, if that rank is even legitimate, treats her family as an afterthought to whatever mysterious career takes precedence over her daughter's basic needs." Judge Stone made notes, his expression growing harder with each detail. "Miss Martinez, your position?" "Your Honor, we've attempted repeatedly to secure Commander Chen's presence. Her continued absence speaks volumes about her priorities. She claims operational security prevents her attendance, yet provides no credible documentation, no military liaison, not even consistent contact information. We believe this pattern of neglect justifies awarding sole custody to Dr. Chen, with supervised visitation only when Commander Chen decides to grace us with her presence." The judge's eyes shifted to Zara, with the assessing gaze of someone evaluating a potential recruit. "I want to hear from the minor." Zara Chen approached the witness stand. Zara moved with fluid economy of motion that seemed unusual for a teenager. After being sworn in, she sat with perfect posture. Her hands folded except for the occasional precise touch to her compass pendant, movements that looked like fidgeting, but followed the exact timing of encrypted communication protocols. "Zara," Judge Stone leaned forward, his tone shifting to the voice he'd once used with young Marines. "Tell the court about your relationship with your mother." Zara's fingers traced a compass. "She loves me more than anything. She can't always be here, but it's not because she doesn't care. It's because what she does is bigger than just our family." "And what exactly does she do? Why can't she be here to fight for custody of her own daughter?" Zara hesitated, her eyes finding her father's face. He gave an almost imperceptible nod, and she straightened with new resolve. She serves in classified naval special operations. She's one of the first female Navy SEALs. The courtroom erupted. Laughter mixed with scoffs of disbelief. Judge Stone's face hardened into granite. "Young lady," he said, removing his glasses with theatrical slowness, "I have 25 years of active duty service, including joint operations with Navy Special Warfare Units. There are no female Navy SEALs. That program does not exist, and your fabrication dishonors every real operator who has earned that designation through blood and sacrifice." The laughter grew louder, crueler. Zara's composure cracked slightly, but her voice remained steady. "She Island, I'm not lying. This court will not tolerate fantasy presented as fact." Judge Stone continued, his voice rising over the diminishing laughter, "especially when those fantasies make a mockery of genuine military service and sacrifice." Marcus stood up, his face flushed with protective anger. "Your Honor, my daughter is not a fabricator. She—" "Dr. Chen, control yourself, or face contempt charges," the judge warned sharply. "Now, Miss Chen, I'll give you one final opportunity to explain your mother's absences truthfully, without these ridiculous stories." For the first time, Zara's military straight posture wavered. "I am telling the truth. My mother serves our country in ways most people will never understand. She has scars from operations that officially never happened. She knows things about naval warfare that aren't in any textbook, and she's saved more lives than anyone in this room could imagine. No one believes me, but that doesn't make it less true." Judge Stone sighed heavily, making another note. "Miss Martinez, proceed with your cross-examination." The attorney approached with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Zara, has your mother told you to make these claims about being a Navy SEAL?" "No." Zara's response was immediate and firm. "She's never told me anything directly. Everything I know, I figured out myself." "You figured it out?" Martinez repeated skeptically. "How exactly does a child figure out something that, according to your own testimony, is highly classified?" "I found her gear once, when I was 10. Specialized diving equipment. Weapons I researched later. Medical supplies that aren't available to civilians. I've overheard secure communications where she used tactical language and operational call signs. She has combat training scars and muscle development, consistent with advanced special operations conditioning. Her absence patterns match deployment cycles for high-level units." "So you've been spying on your mother?" "Objection," Marcus's attorney called. "Badgering." "Sustained," Judge Stone said. "Rephrase." Martinez adjusted. "Has your father encouraged you to believe these stories about your mother?" "Number Dad doesn't know the details either. He just knows she works in classified operations and can't discuss specifics. So neither parent has confirmed this supposed Navy SEAL career. Yet you expect this court to accept your childhood detective work as fact?" "I know what I know," Zara said, her voice gaining strength. "Just because something is classified doesn't mean it's not real. Just because adults don't tell you everything doesn't mean you can't figure it out." A court officer rushed to the bench, whispering urgently in Judge Stone's ear. The judge's expression shifted from skepticism to confusion to something unreadable. "This court will recess for 15 minutes, he announced abruptly. "All parties remain in the courtroom." As the lawyers gathered at the bench, Zara returned to her seat beside her father. Marcus put his arm around her shoulders, whispering reassurance, but she remained focused on the doors, her fingers moving in that same precise pattern across the compass. "What's happening?" Marcus asked his attorney quietly. "I'm not sure," the attorney replied, looking genuinely puzzled. "The judge received some kind of priority communication. He's requested that everyone remain here, but wouldn't explain why." The minutes dragged by, with the weight of gathering storm clouds. Then, exactly 15 minutes later, Judge Stone returned. His entire demeanor had changed, the confident authority replaced by something approaching wariness. "Before we continue," he began, his voice carefully controlled, "I've been informed that we will receive additional testimony. Given the nature of this testimony, I'm clearing the gallery and limiting attendance to essential parties only." "Your Honor," Martinez stood, "we weren't notified of additional witnesses. We demand time to prepare." "Counselor," the judge interrupted, "you'll understand the circumstances momentarily." He nodded to the bailiff, who moved to the courtroom doors with military precision. The heavy doors swung open, and what walked through next would be burned into the memory of everyone present for the rest of their lives. Commander Sarah Chen entered in full Navy dress blues, but this wasn't the ceremonial uniform of a desk officer. Her decorations told a story of classified operations counter-terrorism actions, and combat leadership that only those with the highest clearances would recognize. She moved with the fluid, predatory grace of someone who had learned to kill in a dozen different ways and had done so in service of her country. Behind her came her unit, 6 Navy SEALs in dress blues, 3 men and 3 women, arranged in perfect formation. Their faces were impassive, their movements synchronized with the precision of a machine built for war. Each bore the subtle markings of the kind of operators who existed in the shadows between official military structures and complete deniability. The laughter that had filled the room minutes before died as if someone had cut the power. The silence was so complete that the sound of Commander Chen's measured footsteps seemed to echo like gunshots. Judge Stone rose slowly from his seat, his eyes fixed on insignia that told a story he was only beginning to understand. The confidence that had defined his judicial demeanor evaporated, replaced by the recognition of someone in the presence of operators whose existence challenged everything he thought he knew about military structure. The SEALs followed Commander Chen in perfect step, their synchronized movement creating a display of unity and precision that held the courtroom transfixed. They took positions behind the defendant's table, standing at parade rest in a formation that managed to look both respectful and intimidating. Commander Chen stopped at the precise distance required by military protocol and rendered a perfect salute. Commander Sarah Chen, United States Navy Special Warfare Command. Reporting as directed, Your Honor. Judge Stone returned the salute automatically, his judicial persona temporarily overridden by military muscle memory. Permission to approach, Your Honor? At his nod, Commander Chen moved forward and presented a sealed folder to the bailiff. These documents were declassified this morning specifically for these proceedings. They should clarify my absences and verify my daughter's testimony. The judge accepted the folder with hands that weren't entirely steady. As he opened it and began to read, his eyes widened progressively with each page. The official seals, classification markings, and operational summaries painted a picture of military service that existed in the realm of legend. While Judge Stone read, the SEAL unit moved with fluid precision to stand behind Zara, creating a living wall of protection and validation. One of them, Lieutenant Commander Maria Santos, placed a brief hand on Zara's shoulder before resuming position, a gesture that somehow managed to convey both comfort and respect for protocol. Zara's fingers traced the compass pendant one final time, and across the courtroom, her mother's hand made the same precise movement, a private communication finally visible to all who cared to see it. After several minutes of silence broken only by turning pages, Judge Stone finally looked up. His face had been transformed, the earlier mockery replaced by something approaching awe. "The court will adjourn to my chambers," he announced, his voice slightly unsteady. "Commander Chen, Dr. Chen, counsel, and the minor child only. This proceeding will continue under classified protocols." As people filed out, many casting backward glances at the SEALs who remained at attention, Zara finally moved. She walked directly to her mother, stopping just short of embracing her, understanding instinctively that certain protocols had to be maintained while in formation. Commander Chen looked down at her daughter, and for just a moment, the operational mask slipped, revealing the mother underneath. "You kept operational security," she said quietly. "Always," Zara replied. Judge Stone's chambers suddenly felt very small, with 6 highly trained operators standing at ease along the walls. The judge sat behind his desk, the classified documents spread before him like evidence of a world he was only beginning to understand. "Commander Chen," he began. "These documents confirm the existence of an experimental integration program, codenamed Trident Dawn. They detail your role as team leader for the first mixed-gender SEAL unit. With a mission record that," he paused, clearly struggling with what he was reading, "that defies conventional understanding of special operations capabilities. The program has been operational for 9 years, Your Honor. My unit was tasked with proving that gender integration in special warfare could be achieved without compromising operational effectiveness." "And your absences from your family?" "Deployments to 17 different countries, sir. Operations that cannot be discussed even in this setting. Training cycles that pushed every known limit of human endurance. Mission success rates that exceeded all projections, but required absolute operational security, even from our families." Marcus ran a hand through his hair, the weight of revelation settling on him. 9 years. 9 years I thought you were choosing your career over your daughter." "I was choosing my country's security over my personal life," Sarah replied, the first crack in her professional demeanor. "That choice cost me almost everything that matters." Judge Stone turned to Zara. How did you penetrate operational security that was designed to fool intelligence agencies? I wasn't trying to spy, Zara said simply. I was trying to understand my mom. When you love someone who disappears for months, you notice things. The way she moves, the scars she won't explain, the phone calls in languages I researched later, equipment that appeared and disappeared, training schedules that matched no civilian job. I put it together piece by piece. Lieutenant Commander Santos spoke for the first time. Permission to speak, Your Honor? At his nod, she continued. The subject has demonstrated observational and analytical skills that exceed those of trained intelligence officers. Her operational security discipline is flawless. In our assessment, she represents the kind of natural talent we recruit for intelligence work. That's enough, Lieutenant Commander, Sarah said firmly, though not without pride. My daughter will choose her own path. Judge Stone closed the folder carefully. These documents explain your absences, Commander, but they raise other questions. Why appear now? Why risk exposure of a program that appears to be of the highest classification level? Sir, our unit completed its final classified mission 3 weeks ago. The program's existence is being acknowledged in limited fashion as part of broader military integration initiatives. When I learned that my daughter was facing ridicule for telling the truth about my service, I requested emergency declassification of sufficient documentation to validate her testimony. And your unit's presence? They volunteered, sir. We've served together in situations I cannot detail, but which tested every aspect of human courage and capability. When they learned that Zara was being called a liar for protecting our operational security, they unanimously requested permission to appear as character witnesses. Lieutenant Commander Santos stepped forward. Your Honor, Commander Chen has led us through missions where the margin for error was zero and the cost of failure was measured in civilian casualties. Her leadership under fire is legendary within Special Operations community. When we learned her daughter was being punished for the very secrecy that has kept our operations effective, we felt it was our duty to set the record straight. The judge nodded slowly, then addressed Marcus. Dr. Chen, this changes the entire context of your custody petition. Do you wish to proceed? Marcus looked at his wife, then his daughter. I filed for custody because I thought Zara needed stability and truth in her life. I thought Sarah was choosing to abandon us. Now I learn she's been serving in ways that redefine the word sacrifice. I need time to process what this means for our family. Your Honor, Sarah interjected, if I may, I have requested transfer to training command. Still classified work, but stateside with predictable schedules. My unit has proven what needed to be proven. Other teams can carry forward our operational legacy, while some of us focus on rebuilding the personal lives we've put on hold. Judge Stone was quiet for a long moment. This court will seal all records of today's proceedings under national security protocols. We'll reconvene in 2 weeks to formalize a custody arrangement that reflects Commander Chen's new circumstances. He looked directly at Zara. Young lady, you've shown remarkable courage and discipline today. Those are qualities that serve any mission, military or civilian. As they prepared to leave, Sarah turned to her unit. Dismissed. Debrief at 0600 tomorrow. The SEALs saluted and began to file out. But Lieutenant Commander Santos paused. Commander, she said quietly, the team wanted your daughter to have this. She handed Sarah a small object. A challenge coin bearing the Trident Dawn insignia, modified with symbols that marked it as belonging to the program's original unit. Sarah looked at the coin, then placed it in Zara's hand. We give these to people who keep faith when everything tells them not to, she said. Welcome to the Brotherhood. 2 weeks later, they returned to the courthouse as a family. Sarah wore her service uniform, her decorations catching the morning light. The custody agreement they'd submitted was comprehensive, but straightforward. Joint custody with Sarah's primary residence, being the family home, scheduled absences for training rotations, and a commitment to transparency within the bounds of national security. Judge Stone approved the arrangement without hesitation, his respect for the family evident in every word. As they left the courthouse, Zara walked between her parents, the challenge coin visible on a chain around her neck alongside her compass pendant. Outside, Lieutenant Commander Santos waited in civilian clothes but still recognizable by her bearing. Commander. She nodded respectfully. Everything's ready for you at the training center. The new candidates are eager to learn from the legend herself. Legend? Sarah raised an eyebrow. The first female SEAL team leader to complete a classified integration program with 0 operational failures over 9 years? Yeah, you're a legend. As Santos walked away, Zara looked up at her mother. What will you teach them? Everything, Sarah replied, including the lesson about a 13-year-old who figured out one of the military's most closely guarded secrets and kept it safe for 3 years. Marcus laughed, the sound natural and warm. Great, just what her ego needs. As they reached their car, Zara took both her parents' hands. Home? She asked, the single word carrying the weight of years of separation and the promise of new beginnings. Sarah squeezed her daughter's hand, meeting Marcus's eyes over Zara's head. Something passed between them, not the erasure of pain, but an understanding that some kinds of service require sacrifices from entire families, and some kinds of love survive even the longest deployments. Home, Sarah confirmed, and for the first time in 9 years, the word felt like a promise she could keep. Behind them, the courthouse stood against the San Diego sky, a place where classified truth had finally outweighed civilian assumption, where military honor had been recognized and validated, and where a family forged in the crucible of secret service had found their way back to each other. Sometimes the greatest battles are fought not with weapons, but with truth. Sometimes the bravest warriors are not the ones who charge into combat, but the ones who wait at home, keeping faith when the whole world tells them they're wrong. And sometimes, the most important victory is not the mission accomplished in shadows, but the moment when shadows give way to light, and secrets transform into the foundation of unshakable trust.